That's the song I heard in my head.
How?
I don't know. I think I might be an alien.
You might be Borg. Captain's Pod, Stardate 217322.11. Hello and welcome aboard the...
Are you sure? Are you sure?
I wrote down the wrong number. Hello and welcome aboard the Starships Enterprise, and thank you for joining us.
Sorry.
As we take a brief short leave from the world of CinemaSins to explore the universe of Star Trek, I'm your Captain Ian Whittington, and with me as always is the cetaceous ambassador Deneé Hughes.
That's me.
To clarify, I said cetaceous, not salacious.
Those are different.
Those are very different.
Cetaceous is actually a type of like a flavor
Nope.
of a drink
Nope.
and a pie.
Nope.
Cetaceous.
Is it?
No.
No. I mean, I know it isn't, but I was like, is it in America? Did I totally misjudge this?
No. I like to make things up when I don't know the answer.
You nailed it. I mean, you know what? In a really fucked up way, cetaceous could be a flavor, but you will not enjoy why.
Why?
Well, cetacean refers to whales and aquatic things.
You want me to have a blubber bubble tea?
No, you said that it was flavored. See, this has a cetaceous flavor to it. It tastes like whales.
Gross. Well,
But
maybe
yes.
whale tastes delicious, especially in the future, because
Now that we have them again.
maybe there's we have so many whales.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's a plant called the whale. And then,
Whale.
yeah.
Yeah.
I sometimes like to really pronounce the
Yeah.
WH. Water.
Whale.
Whale.
Did you say water? There's no H. How are you spelling water? Where do whales live? In the water. Idiot.
Just add H's to everything. I don't know what's happening today.
That's so
Listen,
great.
it is 100 degrees in here.
It's so warm.
We have had so much coffee and sugar.
It's so
We're
great.
amped up. We're hamped up.
Camped. I haven't had any bacon. Okay, this week we will be looking at Season 2, Episode 3 of Star Trek Picard. The title is Assimilation.
Oh, shit.
I am loving the titles this season, like the Stargazer, Penance, Assimilation.
Oh, that's heavy.
Oof.
Assimilation. Okay, well, I think we know it's going to relate to the Borg.
ReSINstance is futile.
That or they go to just an office environment and the corporation's called Assimilation offices. And the entire episode is just this weird one-off where they're just office mates.
You know, like the theme tune from The Office just comes on over the opening credits. Nope, this is not what I want.
We come back in here and go that is not what I expected.
They went off the rails. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen,
No.
but it might. But can you imagine if the title, it would be so trolly to call it Assimilation and it has nothing to do with the Borg. It's like,
That's what I'm saying,
gotcha.
yeah. It just trolls us completely.
Absolute troll. So I'm wondering, where we left them was on the La Serena, in trouble, and Elnor's on the floor. He's been shot. They're trying to escape so that they can go back in time with the Borg Queen to find out what Q did in the past. The president's husband is on the ship, having
With
them all
two
at
dudes.
gunpoint with two dudes that came in
grey.
after him.
In grey.
All the uniforms are grey.
So clearly
Shit's real.
they're just going to be, very easily jettisoned. Yeah.
Wait, what? You think they're going to be jettisoned?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the bad guys, they're just going to die quickly.
Yeah.
They don't have
Elnor's
color.
Yeah. I'd love it if Elnor just jumped up and slashed them again. So I've watched it with you and Aaron, and both times it was like, so I guess Elnor's just killing people then.
He really is. I
I'm
also
just gonna
thought you were
laugh
about to
about
say
it.
it would be really interesting if Elnor died. I thought you were just instantly going to...
I think he might. I think he might die.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know if it's cool or not.
What a great story arc for this
It's
character.
kind of crappy, isn't it?
But it's been that way.
We're just going to
I feel.
acknowledge... Yeah, no, I totally agree. We're going to acknowledge that we don't know what to do with you. There was something interesting I noticed is Aaron was loving Agnes the last episode, like everyone in the world has. And she's the comic relief done extremely well. Elnor is also comic relief because he will cut off Raffi and be like, yeah, no, this is actually a really bad thing, Raffi. I was like, yeah, no, I know Elnor. So we're laughing at Elnor, but we're laughing with Agnes. So I just don't know why we need Elnor. Like,
well,
I didn't expect him to be the comic relief.
It's been that way from the beginning. I don't understand the character, but I'm hoping that they figure out how to make him make sense a little bit more, because I still don't understand why he's in this timeline at all.
No. The problem is we have 2 seasons left to go. We'll have 10 episodes next season, which means we have 17 episodes left to go. How much time do you want to spend developing Elnor when all of us want to see the other stuff that's happening? And when Elnor might have a life beyond this series, who knows? But
Soji.
It's such a strange choice. And where is damn Soji? She's so great. It was Isla Brienne.
Are we going to slingshot this episode?
I damn hope so. I think if we're not in the past in this episode, I'm going to be worried about the pace. At the minute, the pace has been perfect, absolutely spot on. I don't want to be stuck in this alternate timeline for too long.
But this would be like the perfect time to just throw the audience and do something completely out of left
Send
field.
them into the future instead.
Send them into the past, right in the middle of a Borg cube like assembly.
Oh, goodness.
With the queen. Yikes. Now there's 2 of them.
So many Borg queens. Yeah, Assimilation has really thrown me, the title, because maybe it is the Borg queen assimilates the ship. Maybe
that's my first thought was the ship.
Yeah, maybe she turns the president's husband into a Borg. Maybe she just releases a ton of nanites into the ship's air ducts and just assimilates them. It's like, hey, we're going to the past, but we also have 3 Borg drones now. Congratulations.
Or like, you're welcome.
You're welcome. I'm very close to outnumbering you now. Damn it, unplug her.
I also wonder if the title is just like a wink and a nod to what has to be fixed in that time point.
Oh, interesting. Or maybe they have to assimilate themselves into the past, because assimilation is like violent adaptation. Like, you will adapt.
And that seems to be what I kind of want, is a twist. Why would they name it assimilate when it's such a word that's so on the nose and everyone would immediately assume what it means, but then to use a different term? So we'll see. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Really excited. I can't wait.
This is the 3rd one, and usually by the 3rd one I'm like, all right, where are we pacing here? And episode 2 was such a strange experience because, like we said last week, it didn't feel like something I could really get excited about for too long, because it feels like it's just going to go away. So now we get to see what they're doing with it.
I love that. And it's the sign of a good cliffhanger as well, when you want to come back and move on, and just hopefully the opening. So much is decided in the opening 5 minutes when you're like, was this worth it? And so far it has been, but we'll see. Cool. With that, we'll see you guys for a full debrief in 10 Forward after we have watched episode 3 of Star Trek Picard, Computer, to beam to a very tense La Sirena. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab a drink from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched. Most important question first, what is your beverage of choice?
I'm drinkless.
You're drinkless?
I have nothing to drink.
You're drained?
I'm parched.
You are? Oh.
Yeah, I have... What was that noise?
Oh, it was a disappointment noise.
Oh, you're like... It sounded like something from a video game. Yeah, I'm
you
definitely...
You are like a Los Angeles forest fire. You are dry and parched and the cause of everything bad in the world, Deneé.
My not having a beverage is essentially the beginning of the downfall of the future of mankind.
Yeah, it starts here. With this show, it starts.
You don't have one either.
I don't. This is just a sign of the end times. This is it.
Oh, no.
This is it.
Broken our show.
Oh, no. And with it, the future.
I guess if there's an episode to do it on, it's this one.
This is it. So, we rejoin the crew of the La Sirena, and they successfully find their way into the past and split the party like any good D&D team in an attempt to find the Watcher. And to do so, they must reinvigorate the Borg Queen through some sketchy means. And poor Rios.
And also Rios.
And also Rios. Bless him. So, overall thoughts before we get into deets.
I fucking love this episode.
Yes, so did I.
Did you?
I'm so glad. I could think, yeah, Deneé's really liking this.
This was
perfect
episode. And also, I was not ready for it to end. That's how good it was.
I thought we were halfway through.
Me too. And when it ended, I was like, but what?
The pacing is perfect.
It was spot on.
This season. It's so good.
Yeah. This is my favorite episode of the first season, and obviously this one, because it's the third episode has the potential to kind of, for me, make or break. And I sort of started thinking about this because of what Aaron Dicer said to me a long time ago, that he gives everything like 3 episodes, and in that you have a general kind of idea of what you're in for. And the writers and the directors and all that stuff have a chance to kind of show you a little sampling.
That should be enough to set the scene.
Should be enough. So for this to be the third one, it's a sweet punch.
Yeah,
it's really good.
It's just it's a great method to go by, especially in a 10-episode run, because and I think what Picard did last season was it almost rested on its laurels a bit after 3 episodes. It was like, we can take our time. People will stick with us no matter what.
Right, and they weren't wrong.
And they're not wrong. No. I will. But you can also do this, which is just a freaking ride.
It's so
good.
Fun. And it had the away team vibe.
It did.
To it,
yeah.
Where, you have like these episodes of Star Trek where the team leaves the ship and goes to a planet and has to be like secretive and figure something out, and then something bad happens and someone's gonna have to get rescued. So it has
always. That's exactly how every episode goes.
Every one of them, and this has that. It has the butterfly effect going on. It's got like the tension and the curiosity of solving problems is still there. But then intertwined with it is the death of the death of Elnor.
Wait, what? What did I miss? Yeah.
Elnor's death, which I'm really curious what people think about. Because I know like what you and I think about. We talked about it before the episode even began. But I'm really curious what the general audience feels about Elnor dying.
Throughout the run of season 1 of Picard, it was, we must protect Elnor. He is a pure being. I think some of that has shifted into, Elnor's here. I think the general consensus is, what is he doing? And I totally understand why they killed him off. And I fully expect him to be back in the future, of course.
Yeah.
Because at the minute, it gives Raffi some great punch and some great motivation. It means you don't have to write an extra character. Like, what does Elnor do in this episode apart from be... You now have a fish out of water amongst a bunch of other fish that are also out of water in the past. To the story and the plot, he serves no purpose.
He's super dangerous. It would be him like, hey, Elnor, we want you to go through all of the cargo of this ship and tell us an inventory.
Itemize it, absolutely.
And that actually needs to be done. So that would be a good thing. And maybe he'd be great to have around, but he would be just put off in the corner.
Yeah. From a narrative standpoint, it makes much more sense because instead of putting him in a coma, you're actually using him to drive Raffi's emotions. So it makes sense, if not predictable.
And we're making that connection that Elnor is essentially like a surrogate son to Raffi.
Yeah.
And we've seen some of her past and her pain with her son.
Yeah.
So we're kind of able to fill in the blanks that this kid is really important. Now, also... Elnor would be a horror scene because if he wasn't just doing inventory, he can't go out into the world because he would just murder people.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be able to help himself or mask his behavior.
The guy that mugged Raffi, dead.
Instantly dead.
Snap neck.
That's right. It would have been a bullet to the head.
Yes.
And then he would be armed.
Elnor just capping people.
Yes. Exactly. The other thing we have in this episode that really gives it interest besides just the away team adventure is this Borg situation.
Oh, you were lapping this up.
Oh, man.
The Borg Queen is like just yours. You love her so much.
I love
it.
So
She's so
much.
great.
And I love that they're pairing Agnes with her in this episode.
Beautiful. Yeah.
It is such a perfect pairing. It's like when you go to a restaurant and they give you like a dessert and it's they describe it to you and you're like, I don't think I'm going to like this because the flavor isn't usually a flavor I enjoy. But then they say, but we pair it with this. And it's like the opposite. And because they're so different, when you eat one bite together, it's perfection.
Both things just complement each other and become greater than the whole.
Yes. Yeah. This episode had just about everything that I would want it to have. It had spaceship battles.
Oh my goodness, the opening. This is where I'm going to be in my happy place.
It had like really cool graphics for just space travel.
Yeah.
It had plot movement.
Mm-hmm.
It had Picard leading. Everyone's kind of finding their roles, the perfect amount of tension amongst the crew, and also coming together. You even have Seven just subtly being able to deal with her humanity.
Oh, that's what I'm going to hit on that so much because
so
I love it. I don't know that I would have thought to do that, but the little things of she's greeted by the little girl and the girl is happy to see her because Seven looks like a stereotypical princess now. And the only thing preventing that was a bit of metal across her eye, and like the security guard is amenable as well. And that means so much to her because she's just been a symbol of the Borg for her entire life.
Yeah, forever.
This is the first time that people look at her and see a human instead of an ex-Borg. I didn't think about how powerful that is. It's such a good theme.
Rafi does this sort of, she's really distant from her emotion.
Yeah.
With Elnor, but also with, like, she makes this offhanded comment to Seven at one point about her love affair with 2024.
Yeah.
And
you in 2024 need to get a room.
Rafi has this tunnel vision to fix the situation and get back. Super understand it.
Yeah.
But it was really insensitive, which Rafi is very insensitive. So it's super on character for her. But I like that they're not spending too much time in Seven's humanity because she's going to have to give it back, at some point.
And that's...
So
she either chooses to stay in this timeline or goes back to the future, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's that sprinkling, just this episode, to keep on the food metaphor, is just all of the ingredients perfectly measured because there's even a little bit of how fucked up the world is in 2024 and that this is the start of immigration police and the environment just going to shit. And even that is just, you're not hit over the head with it. It's sprinkled through and used to further the story. It's just, it's beautifully balanced.
Yeah. We're going to hit on the sins too, but just to give like a little wink over to it, we definitely have Rick and Morty in Star Trek universe now. And
which we can't. You can't do that.
We did it.
You can't
it's been done.
do it. You cannot mention Rick and Morty that talks about Star Trek every episode in your Star Trek show. I now need to talk to the characters and watch Rick and Morty with them and be like, well, what are they talking about if not the show that you're living? What is it? Just me and it. So obviously Aaron is sat between us and we're watching it together and we just look at each other and like, they did it.
Yeah, I wrote down your reaction. I wrote down a few things that were reacted to during this episode.
Well, this is possibly, just to backpedal to the beginning of the episode, one of my favourite openings of all time. It was incredible.
It was so great.
Didn't mess around too much with getting... So I had really hoped that when we saw Agnes plugging the Queen in and doing what she needed to do, that my prediction was going to come true and just people get assimilated. But it was fine, whatever. They get rid of the bad guys quick enough. But from then onwards, it's just the Queen taking over the ship, this awesome space battle with 3 ships that I recognised, and you don't need an armada of ships, just 3 close-up ships. That's what Star Trek space battles are so great. And it hurt that they blew them up, but it's fine.
Was it though? Because you were over there and you literally saw the first ship explode, and Ian goes, "No."
So there's definitely one Nova class, and there may have been 2, but there's definitely one that gets obliterated, and the Nova class is one of my favourite types of ship.
You look so sad right now.
Because I finally get an updated Nova class, and it's on the screen in front of me, and they blow the shit up. And it's great. It's great. These are all the 3 ships that we know from Star Trek canon. Great to see them in space.
Undone,
but they
so it's fine.
Up. Don't blow up my little ships.
They were big. They were big ships.
Oh, they are so cool.
Oh, that whole space battle was
perfectly
I think
done.
one of my favorite space battles that I've ever, like, that I can recall. I mean, there's a lot of times that you see them and they're not very clear.
It's a blur. You can't see who's fighting who. It's just pew 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 everywhere.
But this one had real clear blast lines, and at the very, very top of the battle, you see the Last Serena do this like twirly like drop down thing. This really sweet
Actual maneuvers, yeah.
And it was really cool looking.
Using all 3 dimensions of space instead of just being on one plane.
Mm-hmm.
And just that Borg torpedo that the Queen makes. She's like, okay, first of all, let's get rid of the enemy threats. Boom, boom. Just this epic Borg torpedo. Oh, I love it so much. And then just transition from that into the Borg Queen doing all of the technical Borg Queenie talk stuff, into the beautiful just jumping through warp factors and around the sun.
Oh, man, the graphics were so sweet.
Pretty. So amazing.
I have a few things that happened here as I was going, predictions that freaked me out. So right before, so in this scene also, right before they actually warp, Agnes is trying to plug her in.
Yeah.
And then she tips over.
And it's not supposed to be funny.
We laughed.
We all laughed because the Queen is just bolt upright and
she has nowhere to go. And it had that super cool thing, which I believe we saw in the trailer.
Yes,
just a split second of Borg Queen crawling around the corner, half body. And it is ultimately so scary.
It's so creepy.
But it was so amazing because, so then she kind of gets closer to Agnes. I write down, is Agnes going to become a Borg?
Mm-hmm.
And that was
everyone's thinking
and that was at the top.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen. And at that moment, instead, the freaking Queen goes, "Allow me," and I was and then she does this cool stuff where just shit starts popping out of her, right? And then she gets herself onto the ship and says neutralizing threats and does what you said about making the things. But it was so neat to see visually how they represented the Borg taking over the ship.
It's perfectly done.
It's really
neat.
So
great. It's the
lights change color.
They all go green. Rios just loses everything. He's like, I'm not in command of the ship. Dude, when were you ever in command of this ship? It's never you.
I just wrote down Borg ship, Borg ship, Borg ship, Borg ship over and over and over again as I was watching it.
Just the tentacles that come out of her and that funny moment of her falling over. It was funny. It did make me laugh, and it was funny right up until the point she started ring girling, crawling, and I was like, no, creepy, I'm out, done.
It was so good though. Creepy. It was the perfect amount of creep.
Yeah.
That then went back into badass. Mm-hmm. So she gets herself plugged in and she says this super cool thing. She says, move backward to go forward. Yes. Shatter to mend. Yes. The past is now. Yes. And then we just blast through.
Slingshot.
And there's this really interesting thing. And I'm going to tell you what happened. At one point in time, I started slapping Aaron because I was like, and I scrolled back and showed him my notes. Uh-huh. So they're going through the warp tunnel or whatever.
That's the
very
I'll
beginning.
allow it. Yeah.
Is that what it is?
It's like a time warp tunnel, but yeah.
So I only missed the word.
Yes, time.
Okay.
Because then, Deneé, you're only actually going through space, you're not going through time as well. Damn it, Spock. I asked for a time warp tunnel.
Oh my God. So
continue.
There's this really beautiful cinematic moment where it's a close-up of all of the ship, not all of them, but the crew's faces.
Yes.
And it's the beautiful lights that are happening that are coming in through the window, and time is shifting and moving around. In my head, I hear a song, and I wrote it down.
You did not.
All the leaves are brown,
no.
And the sky is gray. California dreaming on such a winter's day. I wrote it down.
How did you do that?
I freaked myself out because this song is played when they land in LA, and as soon as it came on, I freaked out. I started smacking air. I'm
freaked out.
Yeah, because that's the song I heard in my head.
How?
I don't know. I think I might be an alien. I don't know.
Have you come back from the future to meddle with Rick and Morty?
I don't know, but I really was and it was kind of funny in the moment because I heard it the 70s version, and the one that they play is an updated one.
Yeah.
But it sort of was oh, the leaves are in my head, and I started kind of laughing to myself because it would have been really funny if it was over that section. It just genuinely freaked me out.
But there's nothing there to suggest that.
No, it just
I believe you.
It just popped into my head.
I have seen the notes. It is true. How? How did you do that? But nothing in that. Nothing says that song in that scene.
No, I just heard it.
That's so strange.
I feel like I'm in a safe place to begin to really explore this part of me. I know that premonitions happen to people, but maybe there's this untapped potential of me that it's just waking up now that I'm
at the minute it's only specific to Picard, which is fucking useless because there's a lot of people out there that know where this story goes already. It's beautiful. My last note, that's crazy. My last note on the future thing was Warp 9, Slingshot around the sun, roll titles! Because it was so epic.
It was so great.
So epic. I loved it.
It also in this moment too, they're going through the time warp tunnel, and so there's just kind of this moment in the room where we can kind of exchange a couple of thoughts. And Ian says quietly to himself, "They blew up 2 of my favorite types of ship." And Aaron says, "But also murdered people, so there's that." And Ian says, "Whatever."
I was like, give up my ships. Whatever.
Oh, God.
Oh, it's beautiful. So the next big punch is obviously the as always happens when you leave time warp of some sort, it fucks the ship. So they have to do a strategic directional landing and crash.
They do. Yeah. And it was really interesting too to watch like this Borg queen just sort of be like limply hanging there.
Yes.
With her eyes wide open.
Oh, so
creepy. Yeah, he pops in the coordinates to his home and they just crash land, I guess, on his property forest somewhere. Yeah. And yeah, the ship is failing. This is when Elnor dies.
So it's a really interesting choice because the biobed is keeping Elnor alive, but the Queen is draining all power to keep herself alive in some kind of stasis. So they have to actively choose to let Elnor fend for himself and almost certainly die, or else it's all pointless. And it's the only choice you can make. Like, they need the Queen to get back to the future, to find the Watcher. All of this is for nothing if, like, what's the difference between Elnor getting shot and immediately dying on impact because of the crash? Like, you have to keep the Queen. But it was more powerful than I expected. It didn't feel too token.
No. It didn't to me either. The most forced part of it, which probably speaks to my being probably some sort of chaotic neutral alignment and not good, I don't know, is that the Rafi had such a hard time understanding why they needed to keep the Borg Queen alive. I'm sure if there was a way, they couldn't unplug her. They tried.
No, for me, because there's...
It's not like they didn't try to save Elnor.
Yeah,
it's not like they were like
exactly.
looking and going, it's one or the other. It's just it didn't happen quick enough.
Yeah, that time
they could have shot her.
Time to wait.
But how do they not realize? How does Rafi not realize that that's the link to get back?
So I get it. I kind of get it with Rafi because she is extremely keyed into her emotions, and they are all on the surface. And she is a very, very reactive person, which is why, like, all of the things with the conspiracy with Starfleet, she can do so much better on the inside, but she can't control her gut reaction, and that gets her kicked out of Starfleet. And it's kind of, yeah, if you took a step back and analysed everything, then obviously this is the only choice, and you can even get to the logic that, well, if I fix the past, then Elnor will be fine in the future. But she lives in her emotions so much. So it's, the one that I didn't get, as usual, is fucking Rios. Because he's the one immediately about to shoot the Queen. I'm like, no, dumbass. Like, you know that is a bad idea and makes everything you're doing now moot. His actions are the ones I always struggle to get behind at the minute because I love him dearly, but he is one character too much. He's another Elnor, but don't kill him. I love Rios.
Yeah, don't kill Rios. Elnor can go, but only after giving the cool medallion that says, "Now is the only moment."
Good Lord, like, way to retcon a Quat Malat saying that we've never heard before. It's just, that's oddly prescient.
But also, merch.
Yeah, I want some merch.
It's like, a cool
all of
medallion.
The badges, all of like the comm badges that we've seen, all of the glory shots. I'm like,
Oh,
yeah. People are rapidly 3D printing some Picard badges right now.
Yep. And now we have this cool new like thing to look at. I wonder if it's going to unlock something in the future. We'll see.
There will, man. I wonder if this is a Back to the Future 1 and 2 situation where the things that they fix in the past they have to refix again in season 3.
I
don't know.
It's
going to be strange.
I did like Rafi's performance of how she reacted to Elnor's death. It wasn't like the cliche, no. You know, like weeping. It was like this quiet revelation of death, and then the immediate mourning and the emotions of it. But it wasn't, for as emotional as she is, it's somewhat contained, and I really thought that was well done.
Yeah, I thought it was really well done, and she taps into anger so quickly, which again is very Raffi, and it leads to a really beautiful speech, like a really great bit of dialogue where Raffi is covered in Elnor's blood, facing down with Picard, and it's one of those relationships where I didn't feel bad that Raffi is laying into Picard, because I feel like they're at a place where Picard is like, you need to do this, and our bond is strong enough that I will allow you to lose your shit with me, call me whatever names you want, and we'll be fine afterwards, but you need to do this right now. It's refreshing to see, because Picard isn't in a command role.
He's not.
He's not.
He's like almost like an advisor more than he is. He's not in charge. In fact, I don't know who is in charge.
No, he is. He is the leader, because
I think everyone acquiesces to him, but everyone also knows that at any point they could be like, yeah, we're not doing that.
And there's so many people. He's not the smartest person in the room. Like everyone in that room, apart from Rios, is really intelligent. Like they all have stuff to add.
Yeah. Yes, some of them are intelligent enough to figure out how to go inside of a Borg mind, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that in ReSINstance. It's fine. Agnes is as intelligent as the plot needs her to be.
Yeah, always seems to be, because we don't have a Soji.
Yeah,
who would have been the perfect one to go inside Borg mind?
She's a robot. I don't know why she's not here. Anyway, I love the Raffi speaking about Q and Picard. I was like, you boys and your toys just fucking about, and Picard made the point that I would have immediately made was, no, I don't ask for Q to do this. Q just does it, and I kind of have to play along. But
have you ever seen the movie Drop Dead Fred?
No, I haven't.
Okay, it's like a super old movie. But this girl has an imaginary friend who she can only see, and it's an adult, which now that you think about it is really creepy.
Oh, yeah.
And the movie itself is incredibly sinful. But then the only way that it can come out is like it comes out of like this little toy. And so she finds it again when she's older, and she opens up the toy, and her imaginary friend returns as an adult.
Feels very cute.
Nobody else can see, and it's just this chaos monster that they're having to reconcile with. And it kind of reminded me of Q in this instance, where he kind of just pops in. In fact, he only pops in once during the episode, which was really smart.
Exactly. And I wonder if that even was him, because they're going through the time warp. It could easily be him, but I wonder if it's also Picard could be hallucinating. I'm beginning to wonder how together Picard is as well.
Is that because right before the show started, Aaron dropped a prediction that Q is not Q?
Yeah, he wonders if Q isn't Q, and if Q is Borg or something else, and this is why he's acting so unhinged. And I wonder if there is. I mean, I jumped to maybe the Borg Queen has the Borg Queen has assimilated the Q and has their powers, but I don't know, because she can just snap her fingers. Then, like, there's no need to go through all of these shenanigans. It's just snapping everyone's Borg, because that's what Q could do in theory. But crazy. I don't know. There's something going on there. I love it.
They also did the thing before they leave to go out into 2024. With the quintessential "you must not fuck shit up" speech. No
Don't
butterflies.
Take your phaser.
Yeah. No butterflies. No scanning. They can check your vaccination chip, which I thought was a really interesting wink and nod to pandemic times. Like, hey guys, click, like
vaccinations
wink,
are good. The future has them, which is true.
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, that's all the time travel information you need. Go have fun.
Go have fun, kids. Don't squash anything. But it's perfect for the pace. Like, we've all had these time travel things. If you're watching this, the odds are you've seen a time travel film before, because you're in this wheelhouse. beautifully done. And they split the party. They decide that Picard and Agnes are going to stay behind, tap into the Borg Queen and try and wake her up somehow.
This was a really curious thing. I didn't follow any of that, and I was like, I guess I don't need to. I said, wait, how did we come to the conclusion that assimilating ourselves, we're choosing self-assimilation into a Borg to probe into her mind to find how to turn her back on so that she'll talk to us, because she can't actually talk to us unless somebody's inside of her. I didn't follow that. I don't have to. It was just like,
for me, it worked because I understand the Borg obviously a bit more, having been one myself.
Cool.
But they don't have a need for verbal communication unless they're talking to aliens. So once you're connected, you're on the same network, so all of your laptops can talk to each other and it's the same thing. So she's actively trying to fix everything and can't communicate exactly what she needs because there's nobody to communicate to. So Agnes has to be part of the Borg collective to be her runaround and say, oh yeah, I'll help you put this here, put that there. But at the same time, it's in the Queen's nature to say, I'm not letting you go. Now that I have you, worker bee, you're staying. So Picard has to be a conduit on the outside to say, no, you're coming back.
What a great idea this is.
Oh, it's a terrible idea, but I don't know what else they have to do.
It leads to the coolest scene, though.
It's so freaking good.
I mean, it's definitely one that you start and then you cut away and you come back to.
Yeah.
But as a whole, Agnes sitting down to play chess with the Borg and have like her subconscious be a conduit conversation for Picard, and then the assimilation and the fight of her mind to get back control was so intense. I was shocked. I loved every second of it. Like the whole mind part for like, whose arm is this? Oh my God. I got
so
chills.
Good.
It was so cool.
Because who's speaking now and which
coming out.
one?
The voices are coming out of different places.
Yes, Agnes's voice is in the Queen's for a little bit. The shift from I to we is
happens.
like, oh shit, she is in deep.
When Agnes, like when Borg Queen comes into her subconscious and looks at Picard through her eyes, through this little USB plug or whatever, it's like, ooh. And then, I don't know, is this how you interpreted it? After that, Borg Queen went from being kind of like this very emotionless, kind of mechanical delivery to sort of more sassy Agnes delivery. I feel like she took Agnes's ability to emote and began to implement it how she talked, because she was super sassy after that.
So there's definitely an element of that, but that has been the Borg Queen very much.
Okay.
So especially in First Contact, she's very sensual. She's very puny humans, very...
Because she hasn't been
face.
that, I guess.
Well, she's been kind of slipped into a coma and so confused.
Right, because she's been so disconnected. But it's almost like when she got with one person, her quote-unquote personality came back. But I felt like a couple of times, and I don't know if I was reading into it too much, the actress playing Borg, or the actor playing Borg, rather, was like really giving me Agnes.
Yeah, you might well be right. I think if I didn't have my back knowledge of the Queen... then I would be thinking the same thing. And there is an extra level here of, you're right, there's definitely some Agnesisms in there. And it would totally make sense because
she just
Agnes
sucked her
is
in.
now, and Agnes is her only collective now. This is the only, possibly the only Borg that she's in contact with, but we'll save that for predictions. And yeah, it's brilliant. And it's so... They're just not wasting any time to give us the stuff that we want. Like, I want to see the Borg Queen that is powerful and overconfident. And she is literally strung up, so vulnerable, but has so much confidence because she's done all of the calculations and knows that, look, you're not going to kill me because you need me. So can we just skip ahead and do the shit, do the thing?
But then our team does something unexpected.
It's so good.
And like... backseat hacks.
It's so great.
That was a nice little twist.
It was beautiful because Agnes uses that overconfidence against the little teacup is underestimated and hey, read back that file that says shit I stole from the Borg Queen. It's so great.
Agnes is such a great character.
They've nailed it this season with her.
The actor is so good.
Yeah, she's amazing.
I'm going to look up her name.
She's incredible.
Do you remember her name?
I don't off the top of my head, which is really frustrating. But she's absolutely phenomenal. I think they have a really clear vision of what she adds to the show and what they're doing with her. She's just incredible. And yeah, they have the information they need. So really the only reason they need the Queen is to get back to the future and as like a backup, I guess. But such a great scene. Some classic Star Trek.
Alison Pill.
Alison Pill. She's phenomenal.
I think if I read that correctly, Agnes Girardi is played by
Alison
right. Pill.
Yeah.
I definitely was disappointed in one big thing during that scene, which is we were going into these emotional rooms and we went into sadness and she didn't quiver.
She didn't do a little chin quiver. She had a single tear.
I was banking on it.
But no chin quiver.
I literally had my notes are open and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna every time it quivers, I'm gonna hit the period so that I'll just add up all of the dots at the end and that'll be how many quivers we have. Because remember, one of my predictions in episode 1 was how many lip quivers.
2 per episode.
Here we are in sadness room and she's dealing with like intense sadness pressed in on by Borg Queen and we get no quiver.
No quiver.
Maybe she just did them all in season 1. I don't know.
It could be the biggest single sin of the entire show. the minimal amount of lip quivers in this season.
Oh my God.
I did love that. The so anger good. Aiming at Picard. New room.
Yeah. Oh, just such a great.
So great.
It's the right amount of tension and humor and character building and still mystery because they hold back that she hacked Borg Queen. Just an incredible scene by everyone.
And it's what Star Trek does so good. It's these emotional conversations dealing with people's characters, but with a techie reason to be doing it all. Like this is a scene that Picard has had himself when he's had to do a mind meld and he's had to take all of the negative in order to let Spock's dad complete a mission. Spock's dad is like having a breakdown. So Picard stores all of his emotions so that Sarek can complete this final mission. And half of the episode is Beverly with Picard going through all of Sarek's 200 years of regrets and sadness and anger so that he can complete a mission. It is one of the best Patrick Stewart performances ever, and it's almost word for word this scene. It's just stuff that Star Trek does so good. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I think my experience with TNG was so different because I wasn't seeing the character development. I was enjoying the entertainment value.
Heck no.
Right?
Yeah, it's only on like in my mid to late 20s when I've rewatched and thought, damn, they are doing things.
Yeah. And so rewatching even TNG when we were traveling and then when we've been watching it again, I'm like, oh, this is really powerful. This is really powerful
it's really
stuff.
Well done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I guess I expected it in Picard because of what our entertainment value is like now. You know, just the different shows that Picard is going up against to get people's attention and the kind of, I don't know, maybe emotional maturity that shows have now that might feel more quote unquote realistic rather than like a hanky sci-fi show or whatever. But
the tone has to change over
but
the
it's
decades.
still there. So that's why I love talking to you about it because you're like, this is actually reminding me of how when they did this so long ago. They've been doing this for a long time. And so it's neat to kind of go, oh, I would go back and watch that episode specifically.
Every single episode informs me on another episode we should watch. And it's why this is so much more than just a fan service callback mining the same old stuff that Picard gets plastered with. It's doing fresh stories but using the template of the old show and merging it with serialized storytelling as well. They're doing such good work and I'm so here for it. Like the next 7 episodes could be shit. Like I've got 3 that I'm going to hold on to.
This one will forgive quite a lot for me because it was so much fun. Before we go on to like the crew out in 2024 feet on the street kind of a thing. Picard gives the speech before they leave, like, go out there, do your best, don't get caught, be smart, have a great time, or whatever he's saying. And I'm like, I love how he is completely avoiding being like, and I'm going to hook Agnes up to the board. Like, he doesn't tell them that at all.
I don't think he's decided to do that yet. I think they're still having the argument.
But he doesn't want any input because I'm sure...
people are too dumb. Like, me and Agnes are the only people that need to. Like, Seven would be the perfect person to keep behind and fix the Queen.
Well, but so Seven's been assimilated, and so has Picard, and he doesn't want to because he wouldn't be able to come back because it's already been assimilated. Was the idea?
Yeah, no, that's true. So it would be the same for Seven.
It would be maybe even worse for Seven.
Oh, probably because
although she doesn't have her mechanics anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't understand how that works. Like, how much of Seven is still? She's not. None of her body can be Borg.
No.
Yeah, because even Q says that Picard is still a golem. But the reason it happened was different. It was because of a fight with a Cardassian.
For reasons.
Yeah, for reasons.
But anyhow, so I thought that was really an interesting choice. Like, we're going to avoid having the inter-crew argument about why this is a bad idea.
Great,
and you know what?
Time saver.
Thank you for not, because I wanted that scene more than I knew.
Thank you for what you gave me.
So they beam out, and something goes kind of weird because they get separated.
I love a good old transporter malfunction foobar. Seven and Raffi end up somewhere else. They're in LA, but not together. And it's something that's been sinned in all of Star Trek since it started was, wow, these transporter things, like, man, if something goes wrong, why isn't anybody ever beamed 30 foot into the sky? Shit, it finally happened. Rios is like just transported 2 stories high and just like, shit.
It's also interesting to give gravity the fact that a human falling a couple of stories would be
That's enough
an injury.
To be trauma, yeah.
And we're used to seeing them just a quick little thing with a mechanical doohickey and they're like normal and we can go back to the fun. But Rios is like, he can't walk, his hand's messed up. And the other kind of wink and nod to old school Star Trek going out and meeting people thing is we sort of have this Rios finds the local alien to fall in love with sort of thing starting.
I couldn't unthink it. I was like, yeah, of course, they're going to bang. It's just what, like, don't interfere, but sex is fine.
Or at least driven to learn more about this attractive female.
And this is how you tap into where society is at the minute through this person that you build a relationship with. You know she's going to come in handy as the episodes continue. Yeah.
I love also that they kind of do like and she's a mom because moms are hot now.
Moms are hot and single moms are even hotter because they're doing things.
Which I love seeing in pop culture.
Absolutely.
I love seeing that come up in content. They're really pushing on some really great boundaries with this one with the norm that has been on display for a long time. Yeah. They're doing, relationships really well. I really love it. So he's like, oh, you're a mom? That makes you even hotter.
Now I really want you.
How did you feel about the peanut butter cookie thing?
That's fine. Peanut butter. Everyone likes peanut butter.
But Howie said it was real peanut butter because we've talked about this before. You're like, it is real peanut butter. It's just...
Oh, yeah. Well, because everything is replicate. And so this is kind of a sticky point, is that if replicators replicate things, surely you wouldn't be able to taste the difference because it's replicating the molecule by molecule. But yet somehow everyone in the future still knows, it's replicated. No. In 500 years, we will have that shit nailed. You will not be able to tell the difference.
I guess that's ReSINstance is futile, maybe a little bit. But as soon as he said real peanut butter, I was like, wait, is he actually saying that or is he playing it up for the kid?
No, because that was for us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was definitely for us. But that's something that's always bugged me about Star Trek is, come on, you're replicators. If it isn't the molecules, what else is it? Like, what are you beaming into my mouth? But yeah, you need that character that's going to clue you into what is life in 2024 without it being a news broadcast or a radio station or something like that. So we're going to get a ton of information from her about 2024, which is great. She's a good character to do it with.
Yeah, it was a really interesting idea too that, she's sort of a rebel helping people that need to be helped that aren't being helped. There's the lead up into Rios's kind of time in this office too. There's a couple of little jabs at 2024 from the perspective of Raffi and Seven, because Raffi is immediately mugged, and they're
that's another classic time travel Star Trek thing, is that you're gonna get mugged
immediately. And they're in this homeless camp, and then in the background there's like the spread of LA, and it gives the writers a chance to sort of dig at the problems of 2024. Yeah. And then they do it again when they're looking at the landscape and seeing the fires in the distance. So for Rios to be paired with character, this strong female who owns her own clinic and is kind of doing things to try to be better in this, fill in the gap in a way. I thought that was a really cool thing too.
It's not all doom and gloom. It is, this is where the path can diverge. We either go this way or we accept it and go that way. And one of my favorite things is that this isn't set in 2054, 2044.
No, it's like
because if it's like 2034, then you're like, hey guys, you've still got time to change this. Be better. This is 2 years from now, and it's like, yeah, we're probably too late. Like, we are there. You need to make changes now.
Yeah.
This is the world we live in immediately. This isn't near future. This is right now.
Yeah, I think Rafi says, you're killing it, 2024. And I wrote down, I feel judged.
Yeah. And 2020 and 2021 and 2022.
I'm in the back of my mind creating a list of things that I am trying to do to be better already. And then I'm thinking about ways that and it's like, Mom, this is Iris asking me, my daughter asking me in the future, Mom, what changed you? Like, well, I was watching season 2 Picard, and I just realized I could be doing more.
Yeah, I need to change the future before the Q change it. Wait, what?
Wait,
never mind.
Why did Deneé open up a clinic? She's not even a doctor. There was also this really funny moment in the clinic that I enjoyed where Rios is giving some of his backstory, which
so good.
Was so great because, you're reading his books and such.
Yes.
So
yeah.
It's got to be interesting to go, oh, wow, here's a moment when he's actually on screen sharing backstory. And so he starts to go into how he broke this simulator because he was so good, and he emerges from the simulator and all these people are praising him. And I knew it was going to be for his hand. Did you?
I didn't, because I'm so wrapped up in this show sometimes I can't see it. But
it's great. I love that
great
though.
because
that's fine.
The timing is, again, it can, like, Discovery does this. It can get stuck in a story and it's like, I know this story is illustrating something, and it stays there for like 17 minutes. But this was just like 30 seconds and ow! And just snaps you out. It's like, that's all I needed. A beautiful glimpse into Rios's past and then back into the present. It's so well done.
It's a tactic that's used, as, tell me something that makes you happy.
Oh, it's been used on me and I still didn't see it coming.
And so he gets to the perfect moment. He's like, I get out of the simulator. I see my mother. And I can tell she's angry with me and she's proud. And she says, "No!"
It's incredible. It's so great. So we leave 7 and Raffi at the highest point in LA trying to find the standard Star Trek thing of, if it's alien tech, there's a subspace signal, blah, 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 blah.
We can figure it out.
If it's aliens, we'll find it.
Yeah.
And we kind of leave them there doing what they do. Rios and his new friend have been arrested by the immigration police, so I don't know what's going to happen there, and the comm badge has been left behind.
Yeah, the hanging threads are Rios being arrested, and the Borg Queen looking at Agnes walking away, having just said, "You've just done the worst thing you could do. You've impressed me." And I was like, oh, that is so intimidating.
Good. It's like, you have no idea how rare and dangerous what you just did was. And she's like, what? You've impressed me. Fuck! Because now she wants to assimilate her. Because
you can see it in her eyes. So that's like a hanging thread. Like, that is going to be looming over every scene for the rest of the show.
That is the Borg. It is to improve themselves and find perfection. And Agnes has bested the best Borg, so fuck yeah, I want to make that part of me. Agnes is in trouble.
And then the show ends, and I'm thinking, wait, what? I could literally watch this for another hour. This is movie for me. I'm here. And
the pace is so great.
I was so shocked that it was over, and that's the first time it's happened for me with Picard, where I didn't look at the clock. The whole time I didn't look at the clock. I had no idea that much time had passed already.
I wonder how much they can keep it up. I almost want them to take a breath now, because it's so good. You could watch the first 3 episodes as a feature-length movie, and honestly, it's better than some of the stuff Marvel is putting out. Like, the pace is so great.
Fired. Phasers fired. Torpedoes fired. Something is fired.
Say the Star Trek words. So the Watcher is mentioned again.
Oh, yeah.
They seem to be in one place. We now have coordinates. 15. Did you catch that?
No, what?
So when Agnes was hooked into the Bald Queen, she's getting all of the information and she's going through the Watcher, blah, 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 blah. And then she just says the number 15. And I haven't a clue what that is referring to.
What if the Watcher's only 15 years old?
Could be. 15.
Oh, dear. That's going to be one that you have to write down to just try to keep track of.
I don't even have a prediction for it because it's so vague, but it just says the Watcher, something, 15. And then Picard pulls the plug. And I'm like, 15?
Was that part of the coordinates?
No, I don't.
Because she repeats them later.
Yeah, I don't remember 15 coming up, but you would say 15. I don't think you'd say 15, but I will do some digging in Twitter and see, because I don't even have the beginnings of what that's referring to.
Oh, that seems so juicy.
I may have just latched onto something that was a passing.
Sure.
As it always could be, that seemed very deliberate. With that, it's time to head to engineering for ReSINstance is Futile. Man the Borg torpedoes, everyone.
Warning. Warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains, remind ourselves that no TV show, including Rick and Morty, is without sin, even our beloved Star Trek. Rick and Morty. You just couldn't help yourselves, could you? You may as well have said, like, I can't think of another show that, like, I don't know. What other show could you have referenced that is so Star Trek referential? Like, you could have named the Orville, and that still would have been more acceptable because the Orville knows it isn't Star Trek. It's not. Rick and Morty, like, I'm sure they even mentioned Captain Kirk at some point. Like, how? How could that be in the all of the sins? I would sin the show 1,000 times because you can't break your universe like that.
Is it that universe breaking?
It is. Unless they accept that Star Trek is a TV show in this timeline and it's just one of the random quantum fluctuations that happen.
No, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Phases are mentioned. I'm sure Picard is. Family Guy would be the only other example. If they said, hey, go and watch Family Guy, because there is literally an episode where the cast of TNG is in Family Guy. So it's up there. It's pretty universe breaking. And like, there's just, I will not be able to watch Rick and Morty the same again because I'll be like, hey, Rios could be watching this, dude. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
But it doesn't matter because nothing actually matters.
It does. Everything matters. Everything is canon.
I think I might have missed this, and maybe you can help with this, but I believe at the very beginning when there's the fight with the people who came onto the ship, the president's husband and then the two people.
Yeah.
And when they're like shooting them with their phasers and they immediately get eviscerated, were they shooting them with our guys' phasers or the bad guys' phasers?
I had the same problem because I couldn't quite see which phaser was being grabbed. So because my issue was, well, why did Elnor only get a bullet?
That's exactly what I wrote down. So if the phasers are set to obliterate,
to vaporize,
then why is Elnor alive?
I didn't write it down in the end, but I'm glad you've mentioned it because there's one of two things. Either the bad guys' phasers were set to stun, and as soon as they picked it up, Raffi and Seven changed the setting to murder kill, perhaps, just because we don't have time and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Or they were picking up their own phasers, which were already set to murder kill.
Yeah. I guess, but they're
I have to slow it down and see which phasers they picked up because the one that Picard used was vaporized because he used it on Earth and it vaporized somebody, I think.
Man.
But yeah, they weren't fucking about.
They were not.
This timeline can eat a dick because
have we seen someone die on every episode?
I think so. Yeah, probably. Definitely in 2 and 3.
And this one hits on suicide again. So it's definitely a darker theme. Like when Agnes goes into her sadness space. And
it was quite euphemistic the way they wrote it was more about falling asleep and
forever.
Not waking up.
Yeah.
Which they are hitting that theme quite hard.
We got people dying. Like when you're in the room watching it with Ian and I, it's like when Elnor sliced the neck of the person last episode, we were both like, whoa! And then
Star Trek.
Today there's people vaporized and we're like, ah!
But then sadly the ships get blown up. That's the worst thing.
Are you okay?
Your turn. No, wait, no, it's my turn. It's my turn. So I still wrote this down. So they're all having like their standoff on the ship and phasers are all up. And then Agnes just gets a fucking hammer and starts going to town in engineering. And I'm like, no, this is open plan and echoey. Like, you start crowbarring that shit open. She should have been immediately discovered.
Yeah, there was, she was hiding behind the Borg Queen trying to get her plugged in.
Yeah.
And
bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, she's like opening up. I thought the same thing. Like, she was being very, very loud. Technically, she's like across the ship, so maybe they had to deal with what was right in front of them, and then they would have come to get her. But it was definitely like if you're trying to be quiet, you're not doing a great job.
When there's a Borg Queen suspended in midair, that's always the thing in front of you that you need to deal with.
But they didn't see her yet. Because they beamed right in front of the crew. So. It was like a cross on the other side.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yes, I
you're
agree.
Right. I get it. Yeah.
We could still sin like, way to be quiet.
Like Agnes herself shouldn't take that risk. Like, even if there's all of this, maybe they won't hear me. I don't know. Like, just delicately remove the panel and put it down. She's like, yeet.
I think something I would try to sin to is in this episode, this like, we're going to use this incredibly powerful being as a pawn, as a weapon, as an ally, and as a plaything, and not there's like this casualness of using her,
kind of.
That I know they're all freaked out, and they should be, but there's something about it that's like,
a bit too
I don't
casual.
know. Do you play with Borg?
Yeah,
because we are this episode. We are playing with Borg.
We're playing pretty deep.
It's kind of fun, actually.
Oh, I love it so much.
Because it's just not something you ever think you're going to see.
It's really not. Like, the amount of screen time the Borg Queen is getting is incredible.
It's
like,
great.
I'm here for it. They're not shying
so
away.
You
love it. We need to watch First Contact. You will freaking love that movie so much.
I'm afraid
really
I won't, because I'm loving this so much.
I think we'll watch this first and then do some like Borg Queen stuff. You may not like her in Voyager because she's a bit different, but they explain that away because it's always a different body and the consciousness evolves over time as well. But whatever. First Contact, we'll love. There will be so many references in First Contact that you will just start quoting as well. I'm just filling up your little brain with stuff.
I'm like a sponge. I'm like a Star Trek dork sponge.
I do love that your interpretation of some episodes is via the meme. It's like, oh, I've seen that meme.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's great. It's so good. Yeah, I did write down. It's almost comical how the Borg Queen fell down. It's just like her hands are tied behind her back almost. It's like, guess I'm on the floor now.
Yep.
It's so great. Right. La Sirena is a warship. It is a battleship. How does it not have medical supplies?
My question as well.
Not even a med kit.
The first thought that I had was, what happened to all the medical supplies that were on the La Sirena, before remembering that we were in a different alternate timeline that Q had
Correct.
So it took me a second to be like, wait, but then I still was very concerned as to why there would not be.
Yeah. Under the captain's chair.
If this is the same ship, where is the holographic medical people?
I can maybe I can get that isn't part of the programming, whatever, but it's
for the first time in the show.
But you're in firefights. You are a ship of war. You have guns, therefore you should have things to fix it when you get shot by a gun. Like,
have one of the machines.
Yeah, one of the little hypo spray things.
That's what
Not
it
even
is.
A medical tricorder. Like, she was so specific with the things that weren't on the ship.
Where is it this? Where is it that? It's like, okay, but can we just please put pressure on the wound?
Yeah,
because
at least.
he's bleeding out. But yeah, that was concerning on a lot of levels. And I swear, if we see any of his other extra holographic people
ruined,
then this is really upsetting.
Please state the nature of the medical. You have a hole in you.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say all of the dangling bits of convenience.
There's a lot of them in this.
There are so many things plugged into her. She grows them out of nowhere, which I know is possible. But like, it's almost like, so she was inside her little shell, fell over, broke out. Now she's free, but I don't know. I guess the shell was still containing her somehow, like still keeping her sort of powered down in a way, because as soon as she broke out is when all of a sudden she can grow tentacles, which she couldn't do while she was in the little
there was still a force field around her.
Okay. Okay. But why would the force field break if it fell over?
Because the power source is built in.
We don't understand
we
it.
don't understand.
Either way, then it's like all the dangly bits she's just got dangling down, to the point that when Agnes sits down, there's just this convenient little port that he sort of just grabs this very dainty thing and just connects it to her little neck, and suddenly everything makes sense.
That is an assimilation tubule.
They're just hanging off of her willy-nilly.
So they are usually held inside the Borg's arm. Get it. I don't know why she's got them dangling around. I thought it would be connected to her a bit more.
It was technically hanging off of her, like, I guess her midsection.
Yeah. I mean, the
but
thing is,
either way, there's dangly bits coming off of
just
her.
Just the bits she needs.
Then there's dangly bits coming out of the ship itself. Like, even when Agnes is trying to figure out how to extrapolate whatever vocal patterns, trying to figure out, she just is like, here's a tube here. Here's a port here, connects them together. And I know that's how it is.
Yeah.
But it's like, I would just be like, all of the tubes of convenience.
Well, it's like, why haven't they just connected themselves? Because you don't need the squishy human to do this if you can all just connect together.
The sin would probably be all of the linky dangly things. I think I would just make it one
all
thing.
Of these plot convenient linky dangly things. Yeah. Speaking of dangly things, my goodness, Rios ends up in the perfect hospital for his needs. Like,
doesn't he, though?
A hospital that doesn't require ID, will be perfect for exposition, will heal him with no worries, won't immediately call the police, does everything
you wanted to do.
Is small enough that a kid will find his comm badge but still hang around, and that just happens to be the clinical director's son. So Rios got so unlucky and then so immediately lucky.
It's all at the same time. If I was to watch that scene again, one thing I would be listening for is, so when Rios first comes up and asks for his badge back, I don't know if he says the word badge, but I believe the child calls it badge. And I was like, wait, how did the kid know it was a badge? Because I didn't remember actively hearing it. So it's one of those times as a writer for CinemaSins where something pings in your mind and then you immediately go back to watch it so that you can let it go. But because we're not actually sending this show.
Well, obviously the kid watched Rick and Morty and knows that this is a badge. That's why.
That's exactly it. Also, I guess we're dinging the fact, like letting an 8-year-old watch Rick and Morty, but whatever.
I mean, yes.
I guess that's a choice.
There is also
that's a choice.
There are 8-year-olds that watch CinemaSins. So.
Yes, yep. It's a choice.
It's a choice.
Just,
no judgment
they're going to learn things in a different way, and that's okay.
Learn it probably quicker than you would expect, but hey. I don't think that I actually have. I mean, there's loads that you can go into about the convenience of them. I mean, the guard should just take the picture and then make them leave, but gives them all of the time in the world because he must be more fun than Kevin. There's lots of convenience in this episode.
There is. A big one for me, maybe my biggest sin this episode, is that
other than the ships getting blown up?
Other than that. So I guess number 2.
Other than the lack of a chin quiver?
Oh, you're right. Okay, so that's the third thing, is that the Borg Queen and Picard and Agnes's monologuing back and forth ego fight at the end, okay, is like, she's like, I want your ship.
Yeah.
She's got
it already.
Have it.
Like, what more permission does she need?
She doesn't need permission. That's the thing, is the Borg takes, and she's literally plugged into it and tied to it and stuck to it and is part of it. So I found that entire hinging argument really lacking for me because there wasn't any tension there, because it's like, you can't pull her off of it. You've already tried. She's plugged in. So what is this conversation?
What's in it for her? I don't know.
Is it that there's no power to the ship?
Yeah, I think it is the power thing. As soon as they turn the power back on, she could fix it in probably an hour and fly away. So maybe, because what she said was, you guys will happily die to save the future. So let me have this ship. Like, you stay here on planet Earth, fix what you need to fix, and then die, and I will take the ship. But it becomes moot because Agnes already has the information that she needs.
Agnes has the information. They still don't have a way to travel forward in time except for the ship. But I guess the idea is that they could kill her and then just take the ship.
Well, maybe Agnes can get plugged in and find out a way. Or they find somebody very intelligent on Earth, like the Watcher, that will get them back to the future. Or Q can snap them back to the future.
Sure, that's true
as always.
Too. It just seems like that they're arguing about something that they don't own. Also, she's like, give me your ship. And it's not Picard's ship.
I know. Still not Picard. Poor Rios. The most uncaptainy captain to ever captain. Anything else?
I mean, I have one more question, but maybe you can answer it. Maybe it's not a sin. I don't know.
Hit me.
So Seven says she was tracking the comm badge of tracking Rafi's comm badge.
Rios comm badge. Oh.
Like when Seven comes upon Rafi, she says, I was tracking your comm badge.
Oh, sorry, you mean right at the beginning, yeah.
So why couldn't they track Rios's comm badge even though is it just because it was off of him? Like when it's in if it's laying flat, it doesn't work? Because it was working later, but the kid just had it. So it wasn't like it was turned off or destroyed. The kid just had it.
And it only seemed to appear when the kid tapped it.
So how does that work?
You can communicate through the badge in whatever orientation, but only track it when it's on your person.
When it's
I said this last week. Comm badges. How do they work? They do everything exactly when you need them to. They will create a personal force field bubble. They will beam a Borg queen to a ship. They will stop working when you need them to. Comm badges.
Comm badges. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. I think that's all I have. Let's head to our final stop, which is the captain's ready room. Welcome to the Captain's Ready Room, where we hear our predictions for the rest of the season and bask in our Q-like glory if anything we predicted has come true. Ambassadors first.
Well, I don't know that I have a ton, but I have some things to reflect on. I thought this would probably be the best place.
No, I like that. I like that.
So the beginning of this show today, does the recap. And I think we've seen it every episode. The explosion of our original ship where we originally started.
Yeah.
Every time I see it, I just think it looks more and more like an explosion. And I'm like, oh no.
Oh no, the ship's gone.
Yeah, it feels less and less like a snap and more like an explosion. But I guess there can be a little bit of a reversal thing or something. I don't know, but the more time I get to see it, the more I question my
Well, I think you may have nailed it with everybody getting beamed off, because why wouldn't you beam everyone off? But
where would you go? That's like a mass beam.
To the other ships. To the other ships.
But the other ships are under attack as well.
Yeah, they would have to drop their shields to do that.
And their shields are up because the Borg Queen was attacking them all. And you can see them sparkling in the intro.
I just don't think there's a way that we kill everyone at the end of season 3. I think there has to be.
No, because there's a season.
Yeah. So I don't think the final swan song will be boom, they died.
No. You're absolutely right, but I don't know if it's going to be a little time reverse. Zip.
It's going to have to be.
Are we going to see the explosion undo itself and then start, or because the original theory is that maybe it's a snap and not an explosion
because they've got to be helped, but
I know.
So all of our theories are at the minute that the Borg Queen is on the Stargazer to help, not to hinder.
Correct.
Which means blowing up the ship doesn't help, or it does help and it sparks something. So I wonder if the Borg Queen is on their side, the Borg ship beams them off to safety.
Oh, onto their Borg ship.
Oh
my God. Do we get to go into the cool spider Borg ship?
I bloody hope so,
okay.
Finally.
Okay.
Also,
right.
internet, stop calling it a Borg vulva, because it does not look vaguely vaginal. And now, yes, it does. And the way it
I can see it.
It opens up.
Yeah. There's even a little green pearl in there.
Yeah, that bit's usually quite hard to find on a Borg ship.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Front and center.
This one is going to be pretty cool, and I think you're going to enjoy this. I think, and I hope, that the Queen is communicating with the Borg that exist in 2024.
Ooh.
Because this has happened in the show before.
Wait, so is there Borg on the planet Earth then?
In the Delta Quadrant.
Okay.
So 80,000 light years away.
That's a long ways to go.
It's a long way away, but there might be a scout ship that's nearby. And the first thing the Borg, wherever they are, whenever they get switched back on, reconnect to the hive, communicate. And she says that her goal is to get some worker bees and get rid of this silence. She will be reaching out to connect with the Borg in this time. And I really hope that's where it goes. One of the things is, Captain, we have a Borg ship incoming, and it's gonna be so good.
It's gonna assimilate Earth in 2024.
Man, what if that's the thing that? Oh no, I don't know, because the fine.
I mean, it's a great theory, and I think that absolutely she is probably doing that.
Should be
She's trying to figure out how to get on the same wavelength or communication length or whatever way to talk to them.
Yeah,
that 100% is happening. But whether or not they show up, because that's showing up in 2024,
it's gonna fuck some shit up. Because they don't meet the Borg, and so they meet the first time they meet the Borg is in 2365. 5, and
Okay, brain, work it.
There, Q does that. Q snaps them and takes them to the Borg. That was we had a choice of 2 episodes.
Q is the first one taken on the Borg?
We had 2 options last night, and I said, do you want Q and the Borg, or do you want Q and Picard? And you said Q and Picard, so we did Tapestry. So the next one we'll watch is Q Who, which is Q and the Borg.
What a butt.
Q fucked this up. Q is the reason the Borg know what the humans are.
Jesus.
It's a great episode.
I mean, what an asshole.
So that's the first time, but First Contact, the film, has some Borg time travel-y stuff. So they go back to 2069, something like that. And a couple of Borg get left behind, and that gets dealt with in another Star Trek TV show. So it's a bit squiffy as about when we exactly meet the Borg. But 2024 would by far blow it out of the water in terms of how early the Borg are there.
If a fucking Borg ship shows up in the atmosphere.
Fucked. Absolutely screwed. Maybe that's what season 3 is. Maybe season 3 ends with Borg ships around Earth. They're like, we fucked it.
Yeah. Well, save the whales. Assimilate the whales. There's just like Borg whales going on.
We came here to save the whales. That's the only intelligent life on Earth is the whales.
Also, upon rewatch, I watched the introduction every time, and there were a couple of things that stood out to me differently this time. Did you see something?
So I saw the La Sirena doing the time slingshot around the sun.
Too. Yes! I wrote it down. I said, "Oh my god, there's a slingshot! It's right fucking there!" Oh, it's so cool.
So annoyed.
No, but it's so
it's
subtle.
So cool. It's so well done.
It's so subtle. It's the smallest. Like if you watch the ship, it goes across the little time or whatever, and then the center of the hourglass, the hourglass shape.
Yeah.
So there's a shape in the middle that becomes the hourglass, and as it transitions from the shape into the hourglass, the center of it is this bright light, which is also a representation of the sun.
Yeah.
And the ship goes right to it and flips
around, and then it turns into the hourglass, and in the reflection of the hourglass is the Borg Queen. I'm like, fuck, it was right there.
It's right there.
Right there. Like, it's so well done. There's
this part, though, where like it kind of then shifts over into Picard's face, and it's on his eye, and it's like this dark eye, and it's sort of like a combination of Picard's face, Borg Queen's face, and something like, it's very Borg-like. I think Picard is going to be assimilated again.
Man, that would be crazy if he was.
Yeah.
It could happen.
But the slingshot was cool. I'm glad you saw that too. That's so cool.
I couldn't unsee it. I was like, oh my God, they told us what's going to happen. It's so great. That's so satisfying for me. I love it. I think 7 may have an issue with going back to the future.
I do too.
Yeah. With how comfortable she is being human and not judged. I wonder if there's some work she can do in the past. I wonder if this is the end of her story, that she stays in the past to stay human, because life as an ex-Borg is forking hard.
When you look for the ways that you can take a character and give it like a bow in the story,
exactly.
This is definitely going to be one of the crossroads and one of the choices. I absolutely agree.
It has to be, doesn't it?
At the very least, it's going to be a conflicted conversation in her mind. I wonder how much they'll play into it, because they're just kind of winking at it right now. They're not really giving like a lot of screen time to her talking it out.
But they're so deliberate with every line of dialogue. I can't imagine that it's wasted at the minute.
I can't either. But I think it's interesting. So her story leading up into this is that she's like a Fenris Ranger. She's out there doing, like really hard work. And in fact, they spent some time really getting into that when we began last episode. I think that part of the Previously On was dedicated to her story.
Yeah.
And what kind of brought her up to now, which I thought was because it was giving more background into her presidential character.
Got it, yeah.
But now I think it's also like reminding us about her history of like what she's been doing. So Picard has this interesting ability to take these characters and give them an out while they're bringing in new characters.
Yeah.
And we know it's about Picard, but it's also about Data.
Yeah.
And it's also about Seven and these other storylines. So it would be neat to see someone who has had such a tortured experience
find some peace finally, because even the Fenris Ranger stuff is still she's fighting, and so much of that is maybe picking a fight with under the guise of helping people at the same time.
And
but it's easier
pick fights
to fight
with her because of who she is.
She's always judged.
If the writers aren't doing like the X-Pac sort of like Borg becoming new people thing. Either that or she's going to be able to come back and as Borg, if they're going to be introducing the Borg race as a viable ally to the Federation, then maybe she'll be a peacekeeper because she has had some kind of heart healing.
Now, the only issue with that is to get to that point, you've still got the Borg that have done all of the shit that they've done. Like, Seven should turn them into like Greenpeace or something. Like, why would she wait until 2400 to then become allies with the Federation? So I don't know. There's some bits we're missing there.
The Borg's motivation for saying that they want to join the Federation is still unknown.
We still don't know what that is. And that leads me nicely into my last prediction, that I'm going to boldly dig my heels in and commit to this. Agnes is the Borg Queen in the future, not Seven. I think it's her, because when I rewatched episode 2 with Aaron, that scene where the Borg Queen turns to Agnes and it's just like, apart from you belong here because you're used to being alone, you're used to being an individual. The Borg Queen has this fixation on Agnes and seems to be the only person that can kind of go head to head with her. And I can just see Agnes finding purpose in joining the Borg and maybe shaping them and helping in the
having
future.
A strong enough mind
to
take over the Queen role.
So I wonder.
Could be really cool.
I wonder. And imagine that you take the helmet off and it's an Agnes, but all Borgified. Like, oof.
Or maybe not Borgified, because here's the thing. She didn't have to have Borg.
No, I really wanted her to go pale and start like getting tubules and started to look a bit Borg.
But she didn't need that. She just needed a little a C cable plugged into her artery.
An assimilation tubule.
Yes, I understand that. But what is happening inside of her body to
Borg things. I just get really timid when you attack Star Trek.
You do, but you're like Borg things.
Borg things are
they like tiny little microscopic critters?
Literally.
That literally
100%.
are still inside Agnes now then.
I guarantee there are Borg so they're called nanoprobes. They will be inside her 100%.
Right.
Without a doubt.
Because she's absolutely separate Borg.
Yes, but I think that is going to be a conflict that we see going forward.
She has been assimilated.
She has still been assimilated. There will still be stuff swimming in her blood. And I wouldn't be surprised if she gets shot and it heals her. And then that's how they figure it out. So I think she is already on the path to being a Borg. Yeah.
She's independently, slowly becoming Borg.
Mm-hmm.
She's like the next generation of Borg.
Yeah.
And she's going to become Borg Queen.
That'll be it. I mean, if that isn't it, I'm amazed that Picard hasn't said, yeah, by the way, they're still swimming in your bloodstream.
Which leads me to my prediction.
Mm-hmm.
So in the introduction, this time I noticed that in the DNA strands, there's little red dots.
Mm-hmm.
And I wondered what they represented. I have it here.
Mm-hmm.
The little red flecks in the DNA of the introduction are interesting to me this time around. Do they represent little points of time and change and choice and new decisions, or is it something in the blood?
Yeah, it could be.
Or something in the DNA.
Oof.
So if it is nanobite, like a little wink to she has something that's changing her from the inside.
That's what the Borg do. They love to rewrite stuff.
Good shit.
Oh, man. That was an incredible episode. This season is shaping up to be so much fun. Really looking forward to next week.
We only have one question left.
What's that?
Why did you call out Leah Thompson?
Yeah. Aaron is a dick. So, Aaron, you're listening to this, I'm sure. Leah Thompson is Marty McFly's mother in Back to the Future, and she directed this episode of Star Trek. So I slapped him on the arm and said, Leah Thompson. And he went, yeah, Leah Thompson. And that made me think, oh, maybe I have the wrong person. So I just Googled it now, and it is. It's Marty McFly's girlfriend/mother.
Yeah, Aaron, how dare you not know?
Dick.
Not know what he
Dick.
How dare you be responsible for Ian's crippling self-doubt?
Yep. Chris Atkinson and Jeremy Scott both judge you for not having enough Back to the Future knowledge. Thanks for listening, everyone, other than Aaron. It's Get Off My Bridge from me and...
Allow Me.
Oh, shit. Allow Me from Deneé. Oh, live long and Podsper.
Thanks for listening. Want to connect with the show? Our hailing frequencies are always open through captainspod@cinemasins.com. Like, comment, and subscribe on your podcast player of choice, and be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
Hello. Test. Yes.
Artichoke.
Oh my goodness. What you missed there is that I said okie dokie while I wasn't recording, and Deneé demanded I start recording so she could say, "Oh, dude."
Now that everyone's caught up.
Good.
I'm sorry, don't touch me. What? There's no test tickling allowed. Aaron, he made me say testicle.
Did you not realize that's what he was doing?
No, I thought he was saying test tickle.
Yeah, I was saying test tickle.
Yes.
Then you said test.
You
That's
guys
how it
are
works.
Really, really bad people. You're in a mood today.
Am I? What, a playful mood or a... Okay, cool. Not like a bad mood.
I don't think so.
Not
Are
like
you?
somebody pissed in my Earl Grey mood.
Did someone piss in your Earl Grey?
I don't want to talk about it.
You were in a
Yeah,
mood.
I'm in a scatty mood. It's going to be a fun show.
You literally walked into this room and you grabbed it. Not only are you using my character's voice like,
To annoy you.
you came into the room, you grabbed like this huge ball and you started like throwing it against your tricep and then popping it into the air and snatching it out of the air.
I'm popping that shit, yeah.
Or was it bicep? Not tricep. It was your bicep.
If I did it with my tricep,
Yeah.
I'm double jointed.
Yeah, that would have been
That
scary.
would be really creepy to see. I did 5 in a row and then I dropped the 6th one and collapsed in despair. Because it was only at that point I decided I want to get to 10 and that's when physics decided, nah.
Did you have like a bunch of coffee or something?
No, I'm halfway through a very nice cup of tea and a bear claw. I bet there was a lot of sugar in that bear claw.
That's it.
It's a day old bear claw.
Oh my god. Oh no. This is like one of those pre-recording sessions where we sit down, we have a ton of energy, and then we're gonna go out and like get super bummed by what we're watching.
Yeah, captain's log, whatever.
So,
I'm
like,
spent.
The show starts and we're like, yeah, and then it actually we come back and we're like, damn.
Oh wow, this is unlistenable.
Do you remember when we told Aaron that it was cold in this room?
Yeah, and now it's hotter than the sun.
And you said you wanted it to be 74 degrees in this room. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I think it's actually going to be like 90 in this room.
Really?
I mean, it feels really hot.
You know, it already feels warm.
Yeah.
Hey Google, can you turn the sun down?
Sorry, I don't understand.
That's fair. Man, y'all loved the Wales chat.
I wondered if people were going to enjoy that because Trek people know all of the history and the shows.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to understand all the references that you're making. And I genuinely don't know if you're messing with me or not, although we now have the secret symbol.
That is the beautiful, beautiful part of it. I would say, other than the one with God, it's the most infamous Star Trek film that there is, because you've got The Wrath of Khan, which is a classic, and it's just a beautiful film. The Search for Spock, which is quite somber and sullen and controversial. And then The Voyage Home, the one with the whales, which is just fucking Looney Tunes. It's like, who made this? And
Drugs.
What? Drugs made
this.
Drugs and the 80s made this film. We did watch some more Star Trek, though. We watched...
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
We watched...
Wait. Describe the episode and see how long people take to guess what it is.
In this episode...
I'm so interested to see what your brain latches onto and remembered.
In this episode, we see the strangely tealish green-colored carpet of sickbay, clearly. I don't know that I ever noticed it quite so much.
Yeah, the carpeted sickbay is a choice. In fact, the carpeted ship is a choice.
I also found myself, so in this episode, there's like a away team is beamed back into sickbay directly because Captain Picard has been injured.
You just said so many Star Trek words there. It was awesome.
Oh, thank you. Did I?
Away team, sickbay, beam, Picard.
So Picard has a circular blast wound on his chest, bleeding, gooey looking.
That right there, I guarantee it will be enough for 90% of the audience to know what episode this is. That would have been enough for me. The circular wound on Picard's chest, done.
Just sort of
I know
dripping
what episode
down. Essentially, they took a gore balloon and then just smashed it onto the actor's chest, and then it just sort of like soaks into the material.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than think he's so injured, we probably shouldn't move him, they lift him up and then they put him onto the bed.
Yeah.
And so begins my very confusing. I had so many questions about how any of medicine works in the future watching this scene. Anyway, he's not doing well, and then he meets Q God.
Yes.
And this is why we watched this episode, was because you've actually described this episode to me a few times now.
Yeah.
And so...
felt important to watch it with what we're getting into now.
Exactly. And it was really interesting to see their interaction together and learn more about Q's personality, because that's one of the personalities I don't know as well. And it's also really good to be reintroduced to TNG Picard, because in this episode, it shows his history as well. Like, it goes back to his youth, which of course we're seeing come out in Picard. So there's these references to his like brashness and his willingness to just jump in and get himself into trouble and be, just this
very gregarious,
sort of a reckless, abandoned approach to getting what he wants, which led to him being the man that he is today. And in this episode, like basically Q takes him back in time and says, if you could do something differently, would you do it? And Picard does. He does several things different. And then he ends up not being a captain. He ends up being a lieutenant. And he has this moment with Riker and
so
Troy
awkward.
where he's asking for an impromptu like evaluation of his job and kind of learns that, you have goals and dreams, but you never have the gusto to actually go after them because you want to play by the rules so much. So that was a really interesting glimpse into what happens to someone, going through youth and the wildness of youth, and then the temperance of getting older, and how even though Picard is that way now, he couldn't have been when he was younger.
Yeah,
and
you can't get there without doing or a lot of people can't get there without doing the wild stuff when they're younger.
What was it called?
Tapestry. And it has got, like, there's even some lines in last episode that are pulled, almost feel like they're pulled from this, when it's like, this is where you've got to learn from your mistakes. You've got a chance to redo some things. I almost thought he was going to say the word penance, but I was like, no, I've seen this episode and I know he doesn't. But it fascinates me so much how similar what Q is doing now is to what he did in that episode, but how the tone is different. So this is season 6 TNG, I think. So the entire show is really comfortable in what it is. The Q character comes back 2 times a season. So he's at a really playful point now, and they're not scared of him. They just know that he's gonna fuck around.
Right.
So Picard is really aggressive with him in this episode, and
in what we're watching as well.
Yeah, and what we're watching now. But Q feels more dangerous now. Like, he feels really unhinged, and I'm desperate to know what the difference is between Tapestry Q and Penance Q.
I agree, because there's this casualness of Tapestry Q.
Yeah.
Where he's just sort of like, I'm here, I'm hanging out.
I got flowers for a Jean-Luc Picard.
Yeah. Whereas like the Q now is this unhinged, like just pulling apart. Like if he is a tapestry, it's like tattered and shredded and needs to be repaired desperately.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. Also in that episode, I was like, hey, I know this meme, because it was when when Q wakes up in bed with Picard.
Yes.
It's just a funny scene.
It's so great.
As soon as I saw the hand pop up over the side of Picard's head, I was like, oh, it's Q. And then I realized what I was about to watch, which is really funny. It's one of my favorite gifs, because it's just like he like clutches his Picard clutches the covers and like picks him up over his nipples. I'm like, oh, no, you can't see my nipples. Naked, no.
I love, by the way, people's predictions on Twitter that you're sending to us. It was really fun. There was a prediction that that Q is mad at Picard because when he was assimilated by the Borg, it gave the Borg more intimate information on the Q. And the Borg are going to use that against the Q, and they've just been working on it. And in some backwards way, Q is mad at Picard, which I would totally get. So I'd love all of those, the more wild fan theories that get thrown out.
I love the tweets as well, especially the ones when I said the whales are real.
You're a lie.
And then I'm getting like, no, they're not. And so then I have to go, wait, no. Ian gave me the Vulcan symbol. He wouldn't lie.
Mm-hmm.
You can't lie on the Spock symbol.
I can't. I wouldn't dare. There are many things I would lie on, but if you make me do the live long and prosper sign, I'll be like, shit, they've got me. They've got me in a corner. I have to tell the truth. She is actively...
Bless you. Bless you. Bless you. Bless you. All the time. I said it 3 times. You have to sneeze 3 times. What is me saying that to you?
Circle. Summon another sneeze. Yeah.
Summon a sneeze. to complete the ritual.
You've wasted all of your components now for the spell.
No. That was my mic test.
Sir, there appears to be an issue with the comm system. It's screaming at me.